a side episode from the DRIPPMAN Backstory from the Drips of Hell.
Yo, so here is a side story for the Drips of Hell series that I think is important to cover, because the Drips of Hell series, of course, is my backstory, but I cover a lot of the turmoil in my life. And I don't really necessarily talk about in depth my musical journey and all that stuff. So that's what I wanted to cover in this episode. So let's talk about it. My mother, she initially got me a keyboard that I could make beats off of, make music off of, around the age of 9 or 10. And from there, I knew I had to come up with a rap name. So my first rap name was Lil Domino. It was a play off of my nickname that my mom used to call me, which was Damo. So it's Lil Domino. And I remember one of the songs that I wrote with my little brother, DJ. It's called Bad Magic. And all I remember is we used to be in the basement talking about some bad magic, yeah. Bad magic, you know what I mean? Real basic elementary, first, second grade shit that we were excited about. But nah, that shit ain't gonna sell. So Lil Domino, it was fun. He really, to me, that was my exploratory fairy tale, part of my journey. I was dreaming about what I could be. I was influenced by Tupac and a lot of gangster rappers, back then. And I just dreamt about being a swaggy dude, and it was a cute time. So Lil Domino, shout out to you, gang, for getting us to level 2. Bam. All right. So from here, I had kept writing. I was a Lil Domino up until, like 11 or something, 12, something like that. So I went to foster care, and throughout all the turmoil in my life, I just kept writing poems and all that stuff and stayed serious about it. And fortunately, when I was in a foster home in Freedom, I met this dude named TC Burhan. TC Burhan, shout out to him. I forgot what his rap name was, but he was a decent rapper. This white dude from the country. And the importance of him, this was the first time I ever laid a track down in an actual studio. And he had a little home studio, a microphone, and he worked with this program called Acid Pro. So it wasn't like a super expensive setup, but it was decent. And he knew how to work the software to the point where, you could print some decent sounding songs. Like, I showed the music to, plenty of people. And back then I wasn't dope with rhyming, but they never had a problem with the quality. So shout out to TC Burhans, because, me seeing how he operated on Acid Pro and me actually seeing the process of being able to make a song, it just made it more realistic in my mind for me to be able to do it. So at that point, I created another alter ego, which was Shamrock. That was my new rap name. And I kind of did that because my uncle, Tom, shout out to him, he was the one who schooled me on the business side of music at a young age. But one thing that he always used to brag about was, oh, hey guys, we're Irish. on the white side of my family. He loves saying that we're Irish. And so me just kind of being under his wing at that time, and then having, that newfound success of recording, in my mind, a success, I'm like, okay, Shamrock it is. And it was so cool because back then they had this radio station called Wild 99.7, which was a predominantly hip hop radio station. And that was one of the few that they had in up in that area of Wisconsin. It's not up anymore, but they used to let underground artists send in songs, and they would play the songs for them. And that was the first time I ever got radio play. I think I was probably 15 at this point, 14, 15. And they were like, yeah, shout out to Shamrock. And I had, it was a dirty song. I forgot, I wish I had a copy of it. Dirty song. So I remember them saying, at the end of the song, they were like, woo, I wonder what that boy's mama thinks about that. And obviously my mama's passed away. They didn't know that, but yeah, it was dirty, man. It probably wasn't even that good, but yeah, I got my first taste of radio play and I was addicted. I say, man, what can we do next to get even bigger? Shout out to Shamrock for taking that second step. Let me tell you what that evolved into. So at this point, it's later on in my teenage years. I had already met J Ghost and CT the Mac, who I cover in other episodes. Huge musical influences in my life. They pretty much died laughing when I told them that my rap name was Shamrock. They were like, no, you got to change that instantly. Instantly, boy. We ain't gonna rock with you. So I'm like, all right, yeah, that is some goofy shit. You know what I mean? And so this is the gangster side of my family, the black side. So shout out to them for getting me saucy, getting me on the right path. So anyway, I had to come up with a name and I came up with Prime. I forgot the exact process for how I came up with Prime, but shout out to him. This was probably the most powerful part of my journey because Prime lasted from when I was about 17, I would say up until I was, until late 20s. Prime evolved from Prime to the man Prime, and I'm going to tell you how. So when I became Prime, I had, was 17. I was just turning 18. I was aging out of the foster care system, and I decided to go to a community college, NWTC, because as a foster kid aging out of foster care, you get all these grants and all these thousands of dollars that other people aren't eligible for. So me being smart, I took advantage of that. And as soon as I got that money, I went and invested into my own computer, and I went and got the Acid Pro that I told you TC Burhan showed me. And man, I started learning how to record myself. Man, I was the producer guy, engineer guy, and I used to be so proud of that. I used to engineer all the J Go songs, CT the Mac, did all my own shit. Now, the thing about back then, it was all on Acid Pro, which is a decent program. I would describe it probably like an intermediate program. That's the only thing. It doesn't have the professional capabilities of a Pro Tools. You know what I mean? And I spent way too much time banging my head against the wall with Acid Pro. But Prime, so I think that's why Prime's music didn't take off, was just because, it wasn't that professional product that you hear nowadays with DRIPPMAN. But what Prime did have, he had the promotional acumen that DrippMan models his promotional game after. Prime, late teens, okay, you're recording music. Now, early 20s, I got my own gang. As far as music, I got my own promotional team. And also, I'm partnered with the biggest event promoters and club owners in all of Green Bay and Appleton, all in Northeast Wisconsin. Shout out to Frankie Shat. He owns Bra House and he owned Extra 920 and a few other clubs. He noticed me and how hard I was working, and through recommendations from like DJs and stuff, like DJ Mambo King and DJ Hayes. And he was like, yo, hey, Prime, I gotta have you as my event host for all my events. Because at that time, I was promoting at a lot of different clubs. So Frankie wanted me to be exclusive to his club because that's how raw I was. So he gave me an apartment and he made sure I was getting however much money that I was getting every month. In addition to that, to basically host Thursdays, Fridays, and co-host some Saturday events. And co-hosting is basically getting the party live and promoting the party. So that's just how cold I was, that the man Prime was. And in addition to that, I also partnered with Darren Higgs. He had a company called Bottoms Up Entertainment, where they used to bring artists like YG, Yin Yang Twins, like Juvenile, what are some other big acts? Jacquees, Problem, just a bunch of acts. And I was pretty much Darren Higgs' right-hand man just because of the influence and the following that I had. When I promoted a party, people would go. When I promoted a show, people would buy tickets. So anyway, I'm his right-hand man. So I had the benefit of meeting a lot of these famous acts too, and soaking up game from them and kicking it with them for, a couple hours, and being with Darren Higgs when he picked these guys up off the airplane or off the bus or, when they came into town. And so I just started feeling like a boss. I'm like, yo, I'm with these famous niggas. I'm with the biggest niggas, not only in my city, but, they're bringing famous people to town. And yeah, it was so lit. So the man Prime, he's really the one that got us to the point where we knew that we could be profitable with this shit. We knew we could be profitable with this shit. So shout out to him for that. The reason why the man Prime didn't work to me, is at that point I was going through a lot of personal shit in my life. So I had took off probably like 2 or 3 years, I'll say about 2 years from music, like where I wasn't even writing or recording or anything. And this is right after me and Amber had split up. Shout out to you if you have been paying attention to the Drips from Hell series and you saw the episode on me and Amber. If you saw that, you would know why that devastated me. But then when I came back to wanting to do music after those 2 years, I just knew I couldn't go back to being Prime. I knew I had to come up with something fresh. And that's where DRIPPMAN comes into play. So here we are, DRIPPMAN, modern day, 2020 until now. Actually, I'd say about 2019 until now, because I was actually working at United Healthcare at the time when I came up with DRIPPMAN. I had made my foray back into music and I actually recorded a couple of songs as the man Prime. But I'm driving to work one day and all of a sudden I heard this song by Young Thug and Future. It was called Drip on Me. Oh, this drip on me. Gotta keep extra clip on me. Like, and it just like possessed me for some reason. And all of a sudden I'm like, just out the blue, this name DRIPPMAN pops in my head. And I'm like, that would be a saucy ass rap name. And I'm like, wait, ain't no fucking way. I'm like, that has to be taken. That's way too raw of a name. I looked it up. No, there is no DRIPPMAN. I was blown away because the implications of DRIPPMAN, like the branding sells itself. DRIPPMAN, Drip Gang, Drip World, Dripwear, so on and so forth. I just had an explosion of ideas, billion-dollar ideas that we're executing to this day. And so after I put in more thought into it too, because even though I was excited, I wanted to make sure, it was something that I could execute at the highest level. So after I thought about it, I said, you know what? These guys are talking about drip as in jewelry and money and all that other shit. Cool. But I said DRIPPMAN is going to have 2 P's because I'm talking about the drip that's underneath. I'm talking about the drip that comes from the soul, from the heart. And I really wanted to personify that. And so when that part of the plan came into place, I was sold. I was like, no, I am DRIPPMAN. That's what I am. You know what I'm saying? It just became so powerful to me. So using the past experience that I had, especially with the man Prime, I got to promoting DRIPPMAN right away. And we shot a bunch of music videos and, we have our online presence. But to me, I didn't become DRIPPMAN just to stay as a local artist like the man Prime. So even though we're doing whatever we're doing, I started hatching bigger and better plans. So we started coming at every rapper, first off in Green Bay. At that time, and still to this day, I just felt so disrespected because I'm the DRIPPMAN. I put in a lot of work and nobody wanted to do songs with me. Nobody wanted to collaborate with me. And I know it's because they were hating on me, but whatever. Let them tell it I'm weird or they have all type of stupid excuses. I just felt so disrespected because nobody wanted to work with me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make $1 off your name one way or the other. You know what I mean? Whether it's dissing you or whether you get on the song with me. And at that point, I was not the biggest artist even in my own city, even though I was making a name. So I went at every rapper and I made sure I destroyed them. I didn't just go at rappers. I'm talking about, I was in the streets grimy with it too. Them niggas will tell you, didn't nobody want to fuck with me, for a lot of reasons. I was just way too big of a menace, too big of a gangster for them. And so I really started making my name. Everybody, I'm going viral for everything. And it was so exciting at that time because it's the first time I was going truly viral. And by viral, I mean, I'm getting 100,000, 200,000 views on Facebook. I didn't really have faith in YouTube yet. You know what I mean? I didn't figure that out yet. But yeah, Facebook, we're going viral. And so I'm feeling like a big dog. So the next move I came up with, I challenged Milwaukee artists to a $10,000 rap battle type shit, freestyle battle, or we can go hit for hit, whatever. And it was just like a random post that I made and that blew up. That blew, you know what I'm saying? That blew up. That blew all the way up into the millions of views. So that's what escalated DRIPPMAN beyond the city of Green Bay. And then from there, we went to O Block. And of course, that's what somewhat got us into the national conversation. So just a lot of exciting stuff for you guys to catch yourself up on. And along the way, DrippMan's been in the studio recording. You know, we got thousands of DrippMan songs. We've been to Los Angeles. You know, we recorded the Fireman video out there. You know, we've been to Atlanta, shot the Party 19 video. And just a lot of other professional videos in between. You know, along the way, DrippMan learned how to fully, mix and master and also become my own cameraman and just very, very resourceful. Very, very resourceful. You know, DrippMan did have a period between, probably late 2022 through 2025. Yeah, let's say that, about 2 years. Where, I had another lull. And I made a video previously about self-sabotage. And there was just a lot of decisions that I made that kind of halted the progress of where DrippMan was. But I'm so thankful that happened, because back then, even though we were going viral, that was all about the numbers, and I wasn't really putting as much attention into building a fan base. I didn't understand that at the time. So things were not translating into dollars, even though they were translating into high viewership. And so I really needed that downtime for me to analyze what I was doing and to come back better and stronger. And that's what DrippMan is all about, is being real, being honest. We're going to make this work. So, shout out to you for listening to another side episode of From the Drips of Hell. Hopefully this one was just a little bit more rewarding, just a little bit less stressful than some of the other ones that we released. I know some of it's turmoil, but here's where we start getting to the fruits of our labor and why I always term this story from tragedy to triumph. So a little bit more about the musical backstory. Hit that like, hit that follow button, subscribe, of course, and listen, comment, drop some comments, give me some feedback, type shit, and get you a paid meowship too, because there's going to be a few more videos in this series that will be for members only. You know the deal. Big drip gang shit.